What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Nothing's Off the Table. Our guest for today's podcast is Samantha McDonald. Sam is a 32-year-old mom of three and wife to an active duty sailor. Sam herself is also a Navy veteran, and she joined the Navy because she wanted to follow in her father's footsteps, which is very honorable in my opinion. She's originally from South Texas, but she graduated high school from Hot Springs, Arkansas. And then after she graduated, she decided to join the Navy in 2006. She was honorably discharged from the Navy, and that was in around 2009. And with that, it catapulted her into being automatically a stay-at-home mom. No longer dual military, she had to learn how to navigate life as a dependent wife or dependent spouse of a husband who deployed a lot. She currently resides in Virginia with her husband, where she has taken on the role of the ombudsman for her husband's command. She's a volunteer coach for her children's sports. She is also self-employed, and she is self-employed as a fashion reseller. She's a human calendar. And all of this while battling chronic illness, anxiety, and depression. So, ladies and gentlemen, we wanted to do a podcast that was for the ladies, women-centric, if you will. So please join me in welcoming Sam to the show.
You're listening to Nothing's Off the Table, the podcast where nothing, well, almost nothing, is too taboo to discuss. On Nothing's Off the Table, we give anyone and everyone a say. We may not agree with or even like the topic, but we're happy to give you a voice, listen to your perspective, and maybe even offer our own. Nothing's Off the Table is a MADSISS Productions podcast. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and on iTunes. Also, be sure to check out our sponsor, Locust Ridge LLC.
And we're live. Sam, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Good to be here.
So, first of all, I kind of did a preference earlier, but that's for the video that'll be released later. But so you and I actually served together back. How long? What, over 10 years ago? Holy smokes, huh?
Yeah, 2009.
Holy smokes. So you are a Navy veteran.
Yes.
And you are now a dependent wife and mother of three wonderful children and the spouse of a wonderful bosom mate, our bosom mate. So thank you for joining us. And I know I don't want to take all the stuff away from you, but we talked, and you were on one of our Facebook Lives in the past, and you decided that, or not decided, but you came up with the idea of you doing a podcast with us about just some of the issues that you've been thrust into after leaving active duty, what it's kind of like to be a Navy spouse now, and you've got your own gig going on now. Mm-hmm. What's that? So tell us a little bit about that. Your clothing, your stuff.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's going to sound really weird, but so I get clothing, secondhand clothing, and I resell it. I don't take away from the needy or the poor. I pay with my own money, and then I just resell clothing to it's mostly, I would say, people in college that buy the clothes. They want to be able to spend money without spending a whole lot of money.
Sure.
So and it's because clothing gets sent to the landfills. Not everything that gets donated actually is put out on the floor. So they throw a lot of that stuff away, or they burn a lot of that clothing, so it just goes to waste. So my mission for the next 5 years is to try to develop some sort of, company or something that can help circulate the whole secondhand thing and keep it going, because the planet isn't getting any better.
Sure.
So trying to make a better world for my grandchildren. So
I didn't know that they did that, actually.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, you're doing a great thing. Look, I don't want to try to embarrass you or anything like that, but when we first met, I knew for sure that you were one of the good ones. You had a good head on your shoulder. You seemed to get it, you know. So I'm proud of your service. But the Navy, well, we lost a good one when you left. But I also get the fact that, hey, you got kids, and being dual military is very hard.
Yes, it is.
So tell us, for some of the folks, now with me being, you see I'm representing St. Louis, hometown, so some of the folks back here in the Midwest, they don't understand what it's like to be a Navy spouse. So, and what it's like to have to say goodbye to your husband 6-7 months at a time. So maybe you could give us some insight onto what that's like.
So it's not easy. I will say we've done it, I think, 5 times. I've lost track. Like, the first one you count down and you're like, oh, we can do it. And after a while it's like, oh, another one? That's cool. Let me make sure I don't have anything important coming up. And you kind of go with the flow. My husband, he's currently not deploying at the moment. Mm-hmm. He hasn't deployed since 2013, so that's good.
Is he on shore duty or?
No. He's even when he is on shore duty, he's pretty much on sea duty.
Sure.
So just because he's a bosun's mate, there's no real shore duty for them.
And let's face it, that is a tough job. So
yeah.
For those that don't understand, the bosun mates are basically the deckhands of the ship, and it's a hard life. And did he recently get promoted, or am I losing track of time again at my old age?
He's been at first class. I don't really know how long. I think he got promoted in Japan.
Okay, sure.
He's up for chief. He made the board.
Good.
So we're just fingers crossed at this point.
Fingers crossed. That's right. Well, hopefully, I'm sending my good thoughts his way, and I expect him if he doesn't make it this year. I expect him to contact me. The crusty old former chief that I am. But so I'm sorry. I'll cut you. I'll do this all night. I'll cut you off. But so getting back to when he's gone, you are now mother, father, coach, everything. You do it all.
Yep.
And 3 kids.
Yep. Oh yeah. First it was our oldest. Mm-hmm. He was 3 months old when my husband deployed for the first time. Mm-hmm. And that was intense because I had postpartum depression and I didn't know it. Hmm. So I was going through all of that, being in the military at the same time, dealing with all those emotions, dealing with raising a newborn. I had, no idea how to raise a kid.
Sure.
I read the baby books, but they don't tell you everything.
Yeah, there's no manual that comes with it, right?
Yeah, so much more. And he comes back, and it's not when he's gone, you get a routine. Mm-hmm. It's hard, and Murphy's Law happens. We get sick, things break down. My kidney kind of went out when he deployed after my daughter was born.
Oh, jeez.
So, I had to go to the hospital for that on Halloween. Mm-hmm. But I had a good support system that helped me out then. Mm-hmm. But when he's gone, it's like things that can go wrong will go wrong.
Of course.
And when he comes back, I feel like that's the hardest part because you're so used to being the one that's in control of everything. The dishes are done the way you want them to. Your schedule is done the way that you want it to. When he comes back, it's like he has to walk on eggshells to make sure that he's not ruining my routine.
Exactly.
And then you kind of get into fights over silly things that shouldn't happen. Sure. I feel like the second year of marriage was the hardest because it was like I felt like he went on deployment, came back, did a whole bunch of underways, then went on another deployment, came back, and it was like, wait a minute, I haven't seen you in I don't know how long, and you're coming back and messing up my routine. And I feel like a lot of that was just being I don't know, hormonal, because then I got pregnant again,
Yeah, I don't know if it's hormonal or not. I think it's actually very normal in an abnormal sort of way. Military spouses, they go through every deployment cycle. And the reason I was kind of chuckling and giggling is because I know that my wife Connie and I went through a lot of the same things. Now, are you very OCD?
No.
No.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
So my wife is, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but coming back even from like a 2-week underway, it's like you're starting all over, from jump. Not to mention a 6 or 7 month deployment. I'm fortunate that I did all my Marine time, my FMF time, before we got married, because that was really hard, in and out all the time. But you get through it, and nobody's saying marriage is easy by any stretch. But if it's definitely, you have to work. Both sides have to work, and if you want it to work, you can make it work. Too many people, in my opinion, try to quit these days, and that's. It is what it is, I guess. But I know you guys are doing great, and that's awesome. So you talked about depression a little bit. So was it postpartum depression only, or had you suffered with some other bouts of depression?
So in high school, I did have depression. I actually had an eating disorder. Mm-hmm. So I don't think I realized I was depressed. I felt like it manifested after I had kids.
Sure.
And I mean, it was just one of those things that was hidden. Nobody ever found out about it. I was in denial. You don't want to come off as weak.
Oh,
and especially me. I've always been that type of person. I don't like to ask for help. I'm a very independent type of person, and I feel like the minute I ask for help, it sends off that vibe that I'm going to always need that kind of help, and I don't like that. I don't like that feeling whatsoever. Sure. So I think a lot of that depression was just because I didn't want to reach out.
Well, depression is a wicked, wicked animal, and a lot of people can go kind of like yourself, years being undiagnosed. And I did a little research. According to the National Network of Depression Centers, this is staggering to me. $210.5 billion are lost each year due to serious mental illness such as depression. And depression is the leading cause of disability in the U.S. amongst the ages of 15 to 44 of that age group. And it also ranks among the top 3 workplace issues in the U.S. So that's just talking about the diagnosed cases. And that, if you think about that, I don't know the statistics because they're undiagnosed or unreported, but just think the staggering thoughts of how prevalent it really is. I mean, I've suffered with depression myself, so I get it. It's brutal, but at the same time, you can get through it too. I understand what you were saying about feeling weak if you ask for help, and of course, me being the masculine variety, I felt the same way. I felt like it would be a chink in my armor if I admitted that I needed help. But these last year and a half has taught me that, hey, it's okay to ask for help, and so I did. But so the eating disorder in high school that you had, is that one of the chronic illnesses you were talking about?
No. Oh boy. So right now, my kidneys are bothering me all the time, constantly. Let's see. Sometimes my pancreas levels are elevated, and I think I have gastritis. They're not quite sure. They did the whole endoscopy thing on me. I refused a colonoscopy because I don't feel like I need it just yet.
Sure.
And every time I would go to the doctor and talk to them about it, the only thing they would come up with is that I'm stressed, I'm depressed, and I need a medication. And I took a few medications. They all gave me terrible side effects. I guess I can't digest them properly. One medication, Prilosec, which is supposed to help, cure acid reflux or help it, actually put me out for about 2 months. I thought I was on death's door because of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have like an allergic type reaction to it, or?
Yes. My fingers and toes were constantly tingling and numb. I always thought I was having a heart attack. My heart rate would go up crazy. Like it would be 148 randomly, just for no reason. And then it would go back down to the 40s, which I guess if you're active, that's normal.
Right.
I became pretty much a certified doctor through WebMD because of everything that I looked,
Don't tell me you're one
through.
of them. Oh, my God.
No, it just, for 2 months, I felt all these things, and I was trying to find out what it was that I had, because I felt nobody would help me, because I'm a mom with 3 kids, a husband who is in the military. So chances are I'm just depressed, and I just have anxiety because of all of that. I'm stressed, and I need to take a medication that helps me out. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much it. It took almost a year for them to do an endoscopy on me.
So, I've been in the medical field for 30 years now, and I'm not a big fan of just randomly throwing medications at patients, especially with depression. If it's a mild case, a new onset of depression, there's other things that you can do to combat that vice just automatically slamming pills down your throat. So I can understand your reluctance to take some of those medications. But wow, that's kind of mind-blowing about the Prilosec. And it's funny you bring up the endoscopy, because I got to get one of those in like a week and a half. So, and I get the double whammy. I get the colonoscopy with it. So it's going to be a real pain in the ass. Not looking forward to it, but oh well. So yeah, no, I'm still corny. What can I say? So do you remember? I don't know if you remember Ukwa, one of my corpsmen.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's doing great. He's actually going to come out and see us here next month sometime. So and we're going to do a podcast together. So we'll do it live again, and you'll have to come on and say hello and whatnot. But yeah, he's doing pretty good. He's in Philadelphia and living his life, and just we've kept in contact this whole time. And I got to be honest, he was one of my right hand guys at Beachmaster. So we had some interesting individuals there.
Yes,
but,
and see, the corpsman side, I really wanted to be a part of your team. Like I was undesignated at the time, and I can't remember the other gentleman that worked with you guys, but every chance they would get, they would pull me out of first lieutenant so that I could work with you, because they didn't want me back there. They want me in first lieutenant. They wanted me to work with them as corpsman, because I guess they saw something in me that I wasn't a part of that team. And I didn't play, I don't want to like play politics here, but first lieutenant to me was not the best place to be. I didn't play their games.
Well, that's where we dump most of the turds in that command, unfortunately. Yeah. So, yes. and that's why I said, preface the way I did earlier, is that when I first met you, I knew that you weren't first lieutenant material, if that makes sense.
Oh, no. So, I definitely was not.
But, yeah, it's, I don't know. You seem to be doing really good now, though.
I do. I really, if I had mentors in first lieutenant that actually, I guess, gave a crap, I would have stayed in. But I feel like being in first lieutenant and dealing with everything that I was dealing with while being in the military, while being dual military, while being a new mom again to my daughter, if I had better people in my corner, I would have stayed. But I feel like first lieutenant really ruined my outlook for the Navy.
Sure.
And I thought that if I was going to have that for the rest of my naval career, I was going to fall into a hole that I didn't want to go into. So I decided to be a stay-at-home mom, just for a little while, and let my husband advance in his career, because he was actually doing so much better than me. And I feel like a lot of my decision to get out was also jealousy, because even though I was technically the breadwinner because I had the BAH and all that stuff, I was going nowhere, and he was. And again, it's one of those, I'm this independent type of woman, but I'm married because I wanted to be, because I love my husband, but he's doing better than me, and I know it's not supposed to be a competition, but when you're 22, you're really going to think that way?
There's
Probably
a little
not.
bit of that, yeah. That kind of saddens me to hear that, because Beachmaster Unit 2 was bittersweet for me. It was both my best and my worst command at that time, if that makes any sense. A lot of infighting. I saw a lot of Well, there were a lot of turds there, senior turds that really were out for themselves and didn't look out for their sailors. And there were many intense discussions behind that chief's mess door that I was involved with, but we don't need to go down that road. But no, and I still remember the day that you told me you were getting out. It was you were actually handing out gear. You probably don't even remember, but these type of things always stick with me because, you know, when I see good sailors and they tell me they're getting out, you know, it hurts me a little bit. And you were handing out, actually I don't remember if you were handing out gear or you just reorganized in one of the supply closets where a lot of the 782 gear, the helmets were. You know what I'm talking about? And,
I remember that place.
and you told me about that, and I was like, oh my God, what a shame. What a damn shame. We're losing another good sailor. But, you know, I also got it. I understood where you're coming from. Now, Beachmaster wasn't your first command.
No.
You had a pretty cool first tour.
Oh, yeah.
So tell folks about that.
So I think that was my peak career move.
As your first tour, right?
Yes. Like, after that, it was like, well, okay. No, but I was stationed in Boston. Can't even speak. Boston. Mm-hmm. And I was a crew member on board the USS Constitution.
Now, did you learn to park your car when you were there?
No, I did not drive there. I walked everywhere.
What about
freshman
your khakis?
15.
Yeah. What about your khakis? And I'm not talking about the things you wear. You know, your khakis, the things you drive your car with. So
that was great. Great time.
So I went through they call it Pride Week, I guess, when I was initiated. And wow, man, that was like one of the best weeks of my life. It was just, now when were you there? I
was there in 2006 to 2008. 2006, 2008.
Okay. I made chief in 2003, and I got to go there. And wow, it was so great. It was the history, and you guys have to learn so much.
Oh yeah.
To give the tours and, you know, speaking in public, and that's just amazing. In fact, there's a guy I did a podcast with. It was the very first episode of our new podcast, Nothing's Off the Table. His name's Lou Del Preet, and I don't remember when he was out there, but he was the IDC out there, and I don't remember if he made. No, he was the first class when he was there, but I don't remember what years he was there. But so he was our first guest, and the stories he told are probably much different than the stories you would tell, because he's a magnet for trouble, if you will. But he was pretty funny. So how was that tour for you?
It was great. And it's funny you mentioned the whole Pride Week thing. You know, I was in E3 when I was there, and that was the only time I was able to yell at chiefs and not get in trouble. And It was so therapeutic, because we're getting yelled at all the time, you know, and it's like, no, you do it now. It's your turn. You listen to me.
Right. That's too funny.
No, but it was great. I loved it. It was an absolute amazing experience. I got to climb up, you know, and
up and over,
not be clipped in. Yeah, when I was climbing, and it was amazing. I wasn't afraid of heights. I was afraid of the fall, but you know, what can you do?
Yeah.
If you fall, you fall, right?
That's right. As long as your page shoes updated, you know, you're good.
Exactly.
You had a good run.
My husband and I, we fell in love there. They didn't call it the Love Boat for nothing. So we'll just leave it at that.
The Love Boat. Yeah, you're way too young for that.
Fun.
Anyway, I hope Lou actually comes on and sees us on here and makes a comment or two, because, well, no, Lou won't be a comment or two. It'll be a comment or 100. But he's pretty long-winded. So yeah.
I didn't get into any trouble. Other people got into trouble. I wasn't a good girl, but I wasn't.
You just didn't get caught.
A bad girl. Yes, maybe that's what it was.
That is why, you know, everybody jokes about the good conduct medals, but I am so proud of each and every one of mine, because I shouldn't have all the ones that I have. I was good at not getting caught, I guess. But there were times that, yeah, I should have went to see the captain on many, many occasions. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. But it's. Well, I'm sorry to hear that you're having the kidney issues. They're not looking at like donor or anything like that, or is
No. So they see kidney stones, but they don't see anything that's like inflammation. They're not too worried about things. They see elevation, but nothing that is cause for concern at the moment.
All right. So your lab values, your creatinine, and all that are good.
Yeah.
Or are they slightly elevated?
So all of those are fine. There's just other levels, and I don't know them off the top of my head, but I do know that my pancreas level is elevated slightly, and that happens a lot when I have inflammation in my stomach.
Now, come on, Dr. Google. You should know these levels.
I know, right? But I have like an entire TRICARE online. The whole thing is just all these levels. And I remember one time when I saw one of the doctors, he actually printed out every lab test that I've ever had, and he handed them to me, and he's like, I don't see anything on here. And I'm like, but I feel what I feel.
Sure.
So I'm not quite sure. Just take everything out and put it back in. Just do that.
You're just crazy. At least that's what they want you to think, right?
It is. Yeah. And I saw 5 different doctors in the past 2 years. And because everybody PCSs, I guess.
Yep.
And I had to retell the stories, and it was like certain doctors would listen to certain parts and then prescribe a medication for certain things that I said.
Right.
And I'm like, but you're not listening.
Good old military medicine.
Yes.
I tell you. I think you should smoke pot. That's what I think.
I don't know. I'm very giggly, so I don't even want to.
Well, I say that half in jest, but half in seriousness, because I think in the next 10 years they're going to come out. They've already showed research on a lot of the medical marijuana, and especially with what you're telling me with a lot of the inflammation, it's a wonderful anti-inflammatory drug. And, alcohol is legal. So I don't know if you can tell, I'm a big proponent for the use of medical marijuana, which is probably why they piss test me all the time. But I don't smoke it. I've never smoked it, but I'm a big proponent. I've seen what it has done for Parkinson's patients. I've seen what it has done for people with seizures. I've seen what it has done for pain relief. I've seen what it's done for inflammation. And, I mean, we make alcohol legal, and what does alcohol do? It does the exact opposite. Alcohol kills more people than marijuana does, hands down. In fact, I've never heard of an accidental marijuana death.
Unless you eat too many brownies and your gut explodes.
Well, that's just called being fat. I don't know.
I don't know. See, I couldn't. Maybe I would not be a good candidate for it. Like I said, I'm very giggly, and I don't know. I'd probably just be laughing the whole time, and everybody would be like, "Are you okay?"
Well, I don't see the downside to that. Now if it turned you into a raging bitch, all right, I understand. But giggly, who cares? Now, I wanna dive into your past a little bit more, since you brought it up, not me. I want to talk about your eating disorder, because there are thousands and thousands of young ladies out there that have the eating disorders, and it ruins their life. And I want to know, number one, if you're comfortable with telling us what your eating disorder was, and how did you get through it?
So I was bulimic. I wasn't stick my finger down my throat bulimic. I was exercise bulimic. And with, I would say, slight anorexia, but I still ate. I would postpone my meals according to how I felt that day, and I would ration. So I would try to consume under, I think it was 800 calories a day.
Oh, holy smokes.
Yeah, and growing up, obviously, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to actually eat. Who would have thought,
Yeah.
But I didn't like the way that I looked, because I didn't look like, and I don't want this to be a racial thing, but I didn't look like my white peers, my white blonde haired years.
Sure.
I was, I'm a Hispanic girl. I had wider hips. I had a bigger chest. I had all these other issues, and people would actually make fun of my body parts because they were bigger.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's like you see the Kardashians, and then it's like, what?
We don't mention the K word here.
Okay.
My wife loves that show, and I can't stand it. Oh my God.
Well, I mean, I guess it's funny when it's not your drama.
Yeah, I suppose. Anyway, all right, moving along. We'll skip past the K word part.
So I decided I wanted to change how I looked. I wanted to be like the other girls that I went to school with. Mm-hmm. And so I would exercise a couple of times a day until the point where I got sick, where I didn't feel good anymore. And sometimes I would throw up, and I call that a success, which is awful. I know. Mm-hmm. And other times I would eat, just like whatever I wanted, mm-hmm. go for a run, and then that was it. Like, I would feel terrible. And I heard somewhere when I was younger that if you ate too many vitamins, it gave you diarrhea. So that's what I did one time. I ate a lot of vitamins.
Oh my gosh.
And
did it work?
I don't remember what it did to me, but I do remember that I was sick for about a day or two.
So. This is crazy to me because, and please don't take this the wrong way, because I'm not trying to be creepy and I'm not trying to hit on you, but you're a beautiful girl. And so the fact that you are a beautiful girl and you felt this way, it saddens me, because I've got a beautiful daughter as well. And I hope that she never feels that way. I can't imagine what was going through your head other than, you want to, because you went to high school in Arkansas, correct?
Yes.
So did you try to pull out your teeth too?
No.
Yeah, I figured you want to look like the rest of the girls. You're going, hey, what's going on there?
And it's funny because even though, oh God, no, I would never do math. No, even though I hated my body, mm-hmm. I still thought I still thought I was pretty, mm-hmm. which is kind of stupid, but I felt like looks were all I had to offer, so I had to fix myself. Like, I had to make it perfect. Mm-hmm. And that's what it was. I didn't think that, I don't know, I guess I never had anybody tell me, like, you're smart, you're funny, you're all of this stuff. It was always like, oh, look at your hairy arms, because, I'm Hispanic. I mean, right. What can I do, right?
Right.
Look at your big butt. Look at how this girl has, a smaller frame and she can fit a size 2, but you're wearing a size 7. And, I was 119 pounds wearing a size 7, and I thought that was ginormous. I thought I was just a fat cow.
Now, were these the girls that were giving you problems or the guys too?
It was guys.
Well,
I don't think a single girl said mean things to me. It was mostly guys.
Well, here's the deal. The girls were jealous. They were. And guys in high school, they're still super immature. Hell, I'm almost 50 and I'm still super immature. But, that's kind of their way of flirting and hitting on you. Deep down inside, they didn't think you were disgusting, but they were in their sick, twisted minds. That was their way of, I don't know, trying to talk to you, I guess. But look at the damage it did. And
yep.
That's the sad part. So it's another form of bullying is what it is. And it's unfortunate. I'm sorry that you had to go through that. Because, again, I think to my daughter, and I've told my wife on several occasions, if a little bit off topic, but if anybody were to ever, God forbid, molest or touch my daughter, I've told her, you may as well plan on going back to the Philippines, because I am going to do the rest of my life in jail, because I will kill the son of a bitch that ever touches my kids. And it won't be a quick death either. I thought this out a little bit. But are you ready for the inappropriate joke of the night?
Sure.
What do you call 32 people standing in line from Arkansas?
Oh, God.
A full set of teeth. But But all right.
Well, I'm not originally from Arkansas, so that's a good thing.
Yes, that's why I said that joke. So you're from South Texas, correct?
Oh, yes.
Now, do you speak Spanish?
I used to be really fluent in it. I understand it. I do speak broken Spanish.
Okay. Spanglish?
But, yeah, Spanglish. Tex-Mex.
Yeah.
That's what I speak.
I got in a lot of trouble one day. I have a buddy that when my first tour in Hawaii, Connie's going to kill me for this, but we went, this is pre-marriage, so, I call it BC. It was my BC era, and BC means before Connie, so I'm safe there. But anyway, we called him Otter. Otter's my buddy, and we decided to go into a strip club in Honolulu, and Otter's Mexican, and he speaks fluent Spanish, and there was this beautiful Hispanic girl on stage, and he says, "Hey, you want to impress her?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." He goes, "You need to tell her, quiero comer su culo."
Oh, no.
And so I did, thinking, all right, I'm going to impress this girl, right? She slapped the ever-living bejesus out of me. And I'm like, dude, what did you tell me to say to her? I had no clue, right? I was freaking 20 years old. What did I know? But, I'm not going to repeat what it means in English, but, it was not good. Not good at all. But, years have gone by and I look back, it's a pretty funny story, but it wasn't too funny at the time.
If anybody's curious, it means you're a beautiful woman.
Yeah. That's what it means. Yeah.
So,
way to cover my six.
Replay this and say it to everybody.
Right. Oh, man. Especially in the barrio. Go ahead and say that. Wow. So, I told you I was going to get you off track. But so how did you combat your eating disorder?
I found out I was pregnant with my son when I was 20. So. Wow.
So it lasted up through high school.
Yep. And I hid it very well. I made sure that nobody knew.
Yeah. How did you get through boot camp then?
Well, it was really easy because I was exercising a lot.
Mm-hmm. And you just
in boot camp.
Yeah, in boot camp, they give you like 10 minutes to eat too, if I remember correctly. So
yeah. So I knew that no matter how famished I was, I had to eat because if I didn't, I was going to pass out.
Sure.
But I ate, and I knew that I was going to probably be punished later for something that was wrong, in somebody's bunk. So we all had to, get punished for it. I knew I was going to run. I knew I was going to do some form of exercise at least 3 times a day. Mm-hmm. So I was like, all right, cool. This is my kind of thing.
Wow. You want to hear something crazy? I weighed 119 pounds in high school. But I had to really, in my senior year, I wrestled, so I had to cut a lot to get down to 19. But I entered boot camp at 119 pounds and left at 140. It was crazy. Oh, wow. Yeah. It was, because, wrestling, you're constantly PTing, working out all the time. And when I went to boot camp, the workouts that we did, the exercise, the PT, it didn't even come close to wrestling season. So, of course, like a fat ass, like I normally am, I was just eating in boot camp. So, yeah, 140 pounds, and now I'm not even going to tell you how much I weigh.
So, I left boot camp and I weighed 108 pounds. So I was really happy.
Well, I bet you were, but
I still didn't look like what I wanted. So, and then I found out I was pregnant with my son when I turned 20. Mm-hmm. So I went to boot camp when I was 19, and then the following year I got pregnant. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't harm my child. It was weird. It was like a switch. Mm-hmm. And that was the end of it. Every once in a while the feelings kick in because you'd never fully get rid of it.
Right.
And sometimes when I have like a stomach flare up and I have to go on this like disgusting bland diet, I have to consume a certain amount of calories still just to be able to survive throughout the day. But I'm like, hey, if I just do chicken broth right now and then chicken broth for dinner and have salad, I'll be okay. And, and then I'm like, wait a minute, that's the dumbest thing. Why are you doing this to yourself? Like, why? So I've gotten to the point where I can just reel in those cravings, I guess, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Those thoughts.
Yeah. It took a long time, but I feel like once I turned 30, I started appreciating my body a little bit more.
Sure. You've got some folks in here they're trying to say hello to you. I don't know if you've noticed.
Oh, yeah, my mom and dad.
Oh, very cool.
Like, hi.
Well, hello, Mom and Dad. How are you? Thanks for joining us. Hey, listen, real quick, this sounds like a great segue. If anybody wants to call in and has questions or wants to share a related story with an eating disorder or specific questions for Sam, give us a call at 316-512-1465, and I'll go ahead and post it on here as well. And Sam, if you're okay with that, we'll take some questions. But so I'm interested. I want to fast forward a little bit. I'm interested in a little bit more about your retail thing or your self-employment thing. How did you get into that?
I really don't remember, to be honest with you.
Fair enough.
I think it was mostly I had a whole bunch of clothes that didn't fit me anymore because I was losing weight, and I was trying to figure out how to get rid of them, and I was too lazy to go to the thrift store to donate them. Like, they're just going to sit in the back of my car for about 5 months before I do it. So I stumbled upon some people on Instagram who were resellers, and they talked about the Poshmark app, and it's like this really cool, hip, type of reselling platform. And I followed it, and then I just put my clothes on there, and one thing sold, another thing sold, and I was like, okay, this is cool. I can do this full time. And I mean, I do it part time. I don't do it full time.
You said Poshmark?
Poshmark.
With a P?
Yeah. Yes.
Poshmark.
Like Poshmark. Posh and then mark.
Poshmark. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and it's a really great app. It's kind of like eBay, but not really. You can only sell clothes and accessories and shoes on there. Mm-hmm. It's not a giant yard sale, but it's a really great place to get things for cheap. People like to sell designer items, real, sometimes fake. You got to be careful. Sure. But I don't have anything designer to sell, so that doesn't really,
Yeah, I totally can't relate. I'm a T-shirt and shorts kind of guy, but I'll take your word for it. How about that? Well, I'll actually, when we finish the show and I edit it and whatnot, I'll put a link to it. Do you have a specific link for yours, or?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
Go
ahead. Pimp your stuff. It's ocrap.com.
I actually don't remember what my closet name is. It's Poshmark Closet Thrifty Bird, and I'll have to give you like the actual link because I don't really know it.
Send it to me later. We'll put it up there. Closet, huh? So many jokes I could come up with that one.
As soon as you said it like that, I was like, great, he's got a joke.
Actually, I do. I have a story for you. All right, you ready for this one? So
sure.
When I was in Pensacola, I was working nights, almost exclusively working nights. And so our kids were really young. Isabella was, I think she was 2, and Liam was a couple months old. And the only place in the house that I could go to get decent sleep during the day was our master bedroom closet. And so I took an air mattress and a couple blankets, and I put it in there, and it was nice and dark. It was the furthest room away from the house, and it actually had, the closet was huge. I couldn't believe how big it was. It actually had a vent in there for the air conditioning, so I slept good in there. And then they transferred me from the floor to go to a clinic, so I was back to working days. And I had put a comment on Facebook, yes, I can finally come out of the closet. And, a lot of my friends, they were giving me a hard time and everything, joking me. I knew it was coming, but there was a friend of mine that I grew up with, that I was friends with his mother on Facebook, and she made the comment, she goes, I'm so proud of you, that takes so much courage, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, are you kidding me? Have you not seen my profile page? I'm like, come on. But anyway, that's my closet story. I'm out of the closet.
Yay!
And it's fabulous. Anyway, so Poshmark, closet, blah, 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 ocrap.com. It's where you sell your stuff. And people can definitely get on there and find you. We'll put a link to it for you. So, since you don't remember how you got into that, are you doing okay with that as far as it kind of helps like a little, like a side gig with finances or?
Yeah, it's my kids are taking all of our money, so I need to be able to pay for some things fund.
Yeah, I know a little bit of something about that.
This is how I treat them to Starbucks, the movies. This is mostly for them. It's not, like a residual income or anything like that. It's mostly just to spoil them because, I brought them into this world. Might as well, take care of them. Damn
Skippy. So. Whatever it takes to get them to shut up for 10 minutes. Jeez. That's why we're going to take our kids to see the Avengers tomorrow. That 3-hour long movie, the new one. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm looking forward to a good a good movie. And they'll be quiet long enough to watch it. But so I want to kind of go back into, I know we're bouncing all over the place here, and, that's just kind of how I am because I'm not OCD. And so you got out in 2009? Nine. Okay, 2009. And how hard of a transition was that for you?
I think it was incredibly difficult the first year because I felt like I disappointed myself. I let myself down. I wanted to be in the military. I wanted to actually become an officer at one point. I wanted to go from enlisted to officer. I had my sights set on it.
It's overrated.
And my dad was a Marine, and he's a police officer, and I wanted to follow in his footsteps. I didn't want to be a police officer. God, no. I am a police officer's daughter. I love police officers, appreciate them, but I could never. I could never because I can't stand when people talk back. So,
yeah,
someone would be in trouble.
I'd be in trouble. That's for sure.
But I felt like I let myself down. I felt like I let my dad down, and it was really difficult being a stay-at-home mom and wanting to work, wanting to bring in income. But I knew that raising a child while my spouse was deploying and leaving and stuff still mattered. It was still important because somebody has to be home. Someone has to take care of things. And
sure.
I knew that my kids were safest with me. Not that I don't trust daycares, but I know them better than a stranger does.
Right. Yeah,
but it consumed so much of me that I felt like that's when I started losing who I was.
How do you mean?
So I started losing the spunk that I once had.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in the military and prior kids, I was just this spontaneous, just silly person. And after a while, when I got out, I'm just mom. I am the person who has a baby stuck to her boob 24 hours a day. I am wiping butts. I am changing everybody else's clothes. I'm feeding people. I'm doing all these things. I am trying to find little hobbies here and there, but I get cut off because somebody needs me for something.
Sure.
And I just lost who I was. I forgot what it was to be fun, what it was to be funny. And I think that's when I said the second year of marriage was the hardest for us. It's because I didn't know who I was at the time.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be the wife that I wanted my husband to have.
Well,
so it was like I was giving, and I didn't have anything left for myself.
Sure. But you were still young at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So you're still finding yourself as well, because it's a no-brainer that women mature much faster than guys do. But I'd say probably in my 30s is when I really kind of figured out who I really was and stopped trying to pretend like I was other people to fit in and things of that. And make no mistake about it, you've got the toughest job in the world, hands down. Being a military spouse ain't no joke, sister, let me tell you. And on top of it, you should be extremely proud. I don't care if you've been in for a year, 4, 20, 30. It doesn't matter. You served, and you served honorably. So you should hold your head up high with that. You did what only 1% of the nation's population would do. You raised your right hand, and you took that oath, and you served. So stop beating yourself up, damn it.
in the past. If somebody were to come up to me today and ask me to join the military, I'd just shove my middle finger right in their face and be like, no, leave me alone.
As you're lighting up that joint and being giggly. Yeah.
So it would be a happy middle. No, I already did it. Do that.
So I got to share that we've kind of followed each other around duty station wise, right? Mm-hmm. So we were in Virginia together, and then we ended up in Japan together. And if you show up in St. Louis, by God, I'm just going to call you a stalker, because there's no reason for you guys to be out here. But no, that's kind of cool, and that's what makes the military so enjoyable. Getting to see people that you've served with in the past, and especially in Japan, it was like a big. Although we didn't get to hang out much, and we never made good on getting our kids together. But I was working stupid, crazy hours at the ER. But it's cool to see those familiar faces when you go somewhere new. But
oh yeah, well, I mean, some familiar faces.
Some, yeah.
Sometimes you try to run behind a corner when you see something, like, oh no.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Jesus. Especially in Japan when there's only one exchange to shop in, and you're like, oh, Jesus Christ. And, what would kill me is I would be at the commissary of the exchange, and I'd have patients coming up to me, hey, you got him in? No, I don't. Sorry. Can I have 5 minutes to myself, please, But, yeah, this is it for us. So this is the last move. We just bought this house here, had it built, and I am not moving again.
No?
Nope. 30 years is enough. I'm done. Not to mention the fact that I'm a military brat, so all my life that's all I've known is move every 3 years. And so I'm ready to settle it down. And life's pretty good here.
I can't wait to move again.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I've been doing this for almost 13 years, and I can't stay in the same place for too long.
I used to say that, and I'm ready. I'm so ready. But, yeah, it's great.
I'm just not ready. I'm just not. I want to get out of here.
Well, your husband's going to make Chief and y'all will transfer somewhere else, and life will be good. But
maybe we'll go over by you.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, there's there's really not much for Bosamade here in St. Louis. There's nothing that really gets underway here. But so if you had one piece of advice to give somebody struggling through an eating disorder, what would it be? Yeah, I put you on the spot.
Yeah, so the advice, that I would give somebody is take a good look at yourself. And honestly, are you really that unhappy with the person you are? Mm-hmm. Or is it because other people are unhappy with who you are? Are you listening to the outside voices telling you this is what you need to be? Or is this something that's coming in from inside, and why are you feeling this way? Mm-hmm. Because it's not fair to you. It's not. Don't give a crap about anybody else. Don't worry about what your parents think, your friends think. Worry about you, especially when you have an eating disorder. Mm-hmm. You are the one who is in control of how your body is supposed to feel. And if you feel like shit, then you can fix it in another way. Mm-hmm. Stopping what you eat, it's not a good thing, because you could probably end up with a whole bunch of issues later on in the future. And I kind of feel like maybe some of these things that I'm going through are because of what I did to my body. I don't know, yeah. But I feel like there is so much more to us than what's on the outside. And I mean, it took me turning 30. At some point, I was like, my stomach has rolls when I sit down. When I stand up, it's like, hey, look, we're smooth. But when I sit down, it's like a busted can of biscuit. But that's because I've had 3 kids. I gained a whole bunch of weight and lost a whole bunch of weight. I went through all these highs and lows. I have these beautiful scars on my stomach that are called stretch marks, and I'm like, this is the happiest I've ever been with my body. It's not perfect. I don't have the tightest stomach. I don't really like my belly button, but I mean, who looks at a belly button and is like, hey, that's sexy, you know,
Right.
like weird.
Well, I'm sure there's some fringe group out there and some freaks that like belly buttons. Whatever.
I'm sorry if you like belly buttons. I'm not saying you're weird. I'm saying belly buttons are weird in general.
I'm saying you're weird.
You know, I feel like I looked at my body one day. Like, I literally looked at my body in the mirror, and I'm like, holy crap, you are 30 and you look like this? Like, that's good.
Rock
that's
on,
good
girl.
for you.
That's right.
You know? Like,
that's right.
like it gets better. At some point you snap out of it and you realize that your body is here for a little bit. That's it. It's the only one you have, and you need to take care of it. Mm-hmm. You need to treat it right. You need to feed it the right food. You need to, you know, enjoy that piece of cake. Who gives a shit? Eat the piece of cake and then, I don't know, go to the gym an extra day, right. You know, or drink some more water. Keep up for it in other ways. Don't stop yourself from eating.
30 extra minutes on the treadmill or something.
Yeah, treadmill. Ugh.
Yeah, or whatever your exercise of choice is. But I think that's excellent advice, and I'd like to just piggyback off that if I could, and say that, look, if you're feeling this way, get help. You know, swallow your pride and get some help. Reach out to somebody, be it a friend that you trust, be it your parents, which I would hope, although I know how teenagers are, or a guidance counselor at school, somebody, or whether you're in the military, be it your LPO or whatever the case may be. There's always people that are willing to help that are out there.
Yes.
Now, you had also mentioned that you want to talk about some women health issues, Dr. Google. What specific? Anything in general, or specifically, or just generally speaking?
Well, nothing really specific. I know there's a whole bunch of things, like abortion laws and all these stuff, and it's not really for me to talk about. Mm-hmm. I don't think that I really want to get into those kind of discussions, mostly because I have opinions about them.
Sure.
But it's like...
Hey, this is Nothing's Off the Table. You can speak your mind.
I feel like women, in general, I can only speak because I'm a woman, mm-hmm.
And so
we are not necessarily taken seriously when it comes to our health concerns. I feel like sometimes things are, put on the back burner. Mm. People only want to focus on the one part, and it's mostly that we're crazy. Like you said, doctors want to say that we're just stressed.
Wait a minute. Wait. You're not crazy?
I don't think so.
You're saying women are not crazy. I'm leaving that one alone. I'd like to sleep in my bed tonight. So, anyway.
Yeah, and it's, for us, it's always, well, are you pregnant? Or are you this? Or are you that? Or it's all in your head? Or you have too much on your plate? Mm-hmm. And then sometimes I feel like when men go and see doctors, they try to get down to the point, like, right away. And maybe that's just because of my experience. Maybe because I feel like it's not a fair treatment kind of thing. I don't necessarily see men going to get anti-anxiety medications or antidepressants and things like that. I hear a lot of women say that that's one of the first things that the doctor wants to give them is an antidepressant to see if they can calm down and then come back in a month.
I'm sorry, I just got a myriad of jokes running through my head. But I am probably one of the few that actually rogered up and said, hey, I need some help. And so I did go and say, I need some anti-anxiety medication. And I think it's multiple factors involved, of course, with my father's health and the fact that where I was working at the time, I was wanting to choke somebody out on a daily basis. And a lot of factors. It's situational for me, but I recognized it. And it was very tough and humbling for me to swallow that pride and to go in and ask for it. But I'm not a woman, so I can't relate. Although I still think y'all are a little bit crazy.
I mean, we might be.
A little bit.
I think men make us crazy.
I think women make men crazy. Nah, anyway. I'm going to lose that battle no matter which road I take, so I'm going to leave that one alone. But yeah, so if what I would like to give you some homework, if I could.
Okay.
I want you to think on a specific women's health issue, and I will reach out to some of my female doctor friends, and we can all get back and do another podcast on a specific topic. And if we can help just one person, just one, then I think we all won. If we can help many people, that's the goal, of course. But if we can just touch that one person, reach out to that one and help them, then it's a win.
Well, I think now that you've mentioned it, I think a very specific one would have to be probably endometriosis.
Excellent. And I'm writing that down right now.
Not enough women are listened to when it comes to pain that comes from there.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of it is being discredited as, oh, you just have a really bad period cycle. There's nothing we can do about it. I think there needs to be more, outreach when it comes to endometriosis.
More education. So I just more education on it.
Yes.
So I just so happen to know a wonderful OBGYN doctor that I will reach out to, and her husband's also a general surgeon, and they're fantastic people. So I'll reach out to her and see if she'd be willing to come on the show. So that'll be a future topic, and if she won't do it, there's not a doubt in my mind that I can't get somebody else to come on and talk about it. Hey, Matt Smith just joined us. Matt, you want to talk about endometriosis? I'm just kidding. He's an ER doc. And definitely not his bag, baby, if you know what I'm saying. But yeah, that sounds like a great topic. We'll definitely get that one on. It may take me, a week or two to get folks together for that, but if you'd be willing to come back on, so I want you to think about some specific questions from the layperson's perspective and not Dr. Google. Yeah, I'm going to keep going back there on that one all night long. But so did you happen to find your little website thing yet or no?
Oh no.
No. All right, you're failing.
But I
me.
can do it quick.
Yeah, do it real quick while we're on here. And let me be the first to tell you Happy Mother's Day. And Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. And I would like to thank everyone that's actually joined us on this on our little live podcast today. Sorry that I couldn't answer all the questions right away, but while you're doing that, Sam, let me go scroll here and look and see if there's any specific questions here. So Mark Barris said that's badass being stationed on the Constitution. Oh wow, he was so impressed he said it twice. Way to go, Mark. Nice job, brother. Happy Merce's Week. Thanks, buddy. Norb said hello. Hi, Samantha. Mark's all for the CBD after retirement. Yeah, brother. Smoke that Pakalolo. Yep. Nobody else. Guess they don't like us. Oh, Matt says, especially thanks to me since I'm at work and listening. That's funny. That's awesome. I love you, brother. There's that bedside manner we were talking about before.
So I have this site.
Okay. Do share.
It's Poshmark.com /closet or backslash. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
/ again, thrifty _bird.
Bird?
Yes.
As in shit?
Yes.
Shit bird? You had to think about that one for a second, didn't you?
No.
Excellent. So Poshmark.com /closet /thrifty bird. So if you want to get online and check that out, and if you have things that you want to buy or donate or whatever the case may be, give Sam a shout out. And if they want to reach you, they can reach you how?
So they can reach me on Facebook through Messenger.
Okay.
I'm always available.
All right, there you have it. So, listen, I want to thank you so much for, number one, coming up with the idea of the topics tonight, but also for coming on the show. And I know it's not easy to talk about your personal life to a bunch of strangers. But if, like I said before, if you can reach that one person and you can help them, then, hey, we've done tremendous things. So, all right, you've got your homework cut out for you, young lady. Give me some questions, some good, serious thought into it. I will do my part, and I'll reach out to my friend, and we'll get her on the show for sure.
Yes.
And she's a female, obviously OBGYN, so she can definitely relate and be empathetic, sympathetic to the causes and the questions and she can probably answer a lot of your questions on to why some male doctors just blow you off. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But any parting words?
Not really. Just happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
Indeed. Happy Mother's Day. Sam, thank you so much.
That's it.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
All right. Take care, Sam.
You've been listening to Nothing's Off the Table, the podcast where no subject is too taboo to discuss. Find us on iTunes, Facebook, and on Instagram. Be sure to check out our sponsors, Locust Ridge LLC. Nothing's Off the Table is a MADSISS Productions podcast.